Welcome back to WMMBAM.com, our on-demand video section, as today we have sheriff candidates on the Republican side, Todd Maddox and Wayne Ivey. And as we've been doing in these most recent candidate forums, it's our turn to let the candidates question each other. I may interject some things along the way, but right now we're going to let them have at it. Let's start. Todd Maddox, what's your first question for Wayne?
My first question is, it's been brought up a lot about the management experience and who just has that management experience, that leadership experience. My first question to Wayne is, I've talked to many FDLE agents, resident agents in charge. I've looked at the criteria for resident agent in charge with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. And quite honestly, that position is a first-line supervisor, no more than a corporal or a sergeant with the Brevard County Sheriff's Office. Here in Brevard County, they supervise maybe 5 or 6 agents and are responsible for the day-to-day duties, basically, and they don't really do any management other than controlling what's there that they've been given. So my question is, in many of our debates, that management position or leadership question comes up. So what really is a resident agent in charge? Is it just a first-line supervisor, or is it in fact a manager?
First, the resident agent in charge designation for the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is a specific class that is committed to those supervisors, those managers that come out and manage our field offices. You have a lot more responsibilities than just a first-line supervisor. You're involved in not only the day-to-day operations, but you're involved in furthering FDLE's commitment to the community, furthering FDLE's commitment to their mission. You're tasked with oversight over the field offices. You're tasked with, in some capacities, working as oversight over the lab, making sure that you're managing the facilities, making sure that you're recruiting people from your area. It's a strong designation. In fact, our current commissioner, Gerald Bailey, FDLE's current commissioner, Gerald Bailey, saw fit to create that designation because of all the things that manager in the field office has to do. You're also the person that becomes the go-to component for all of the local agencies. You're at all of the different meetings and different oversights with the chiefs of police. You're working with the sheriff. You're working with the commanders, all in that level. And in fact, I think when you look at why I have all of the support from the chiefs of police, all of the support from the sheriffs, it's because they all have worked with me in that capacity. They've worked with me making sure that we're delivering services throughout the county from both the state and the local level.
Wayne Ivey, let's let you throw a question at Todd Maddox.
Well, when you start asking the other candidate, I don't ever say opponent because to me, I'm running for the office of sheriff. I'm not running against Todd. But when you start asking questions to them, sometimes they come across negative. I've made a very strong commitment. Our campaign is going to stay very positive, is not going to have any negative energy whatsoever. So my question to Todd is going to be this. Todd, the last time you were on Bill Mick Live, you said that Jack Parker, who is endorsing me, is the greatest sheriff you've ever worked for. You also said that your current commander, Paul Chaco, who is endorsing me, is a man of integrity and a great commander. And then you went as far as to say, when Bill asked you what's the good things going on at the sheriff's office, you said the best thing going on is the Game Over Task Force that targets violent offenders within our community. My question to you is, with Sheriff Parker and Commander Chaco endorsing me, would you have been as proud as I am to have their endorsements? And can you tell the listening audience who actually created the Game Over Task Force that you said is the best thing going at the sheriff's office?
Yeah, absolutely. And as Wayne said, I believe, and as many of our listeners at many of the debates have said, obviously this campaign has been run different than some of the other campaigns.
Yeah, we were talking about the relief of that during the commercial break.
It's been a very professional campaign.
Absolutely.
Like Wayne says, we're running for office as the sheriff, not against each other. We've taken the high road. We don't beat each other up. We stay positive there. So and
did you both leave guns outside as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because again, it's not over yet, so we don't know what's going to. But
Days young.
But to answer those questions, yes, and I agree with what you said there. As Sheriff Parker, sure, love to have their endorsement. There's two other command staff members that would have loved to have the sheriff's endorsement. I don't know why the sheriff chose to go outside of this agency. Like I said, I talked about Commander Paul Chaco and what a great job he does. I work for the man now, and I think he does a phenomenal job. Would I love to have that endorsement? Sure, I would. But none of our command staff members were able to get that endorsement of the sheriff. 2 others besides myself asked for that endorsement, and he didn't want to give it to them either. So I can't answer as to why Sheriff Parker chose to go outside the office. That's up to him, and that's his decision, his personal decision. So I'll leave that up to him to explain why he's chosen that direction. I do know that by many of their admission, by the mention of several of the command staff members, at least 75, 80% of the road deputies out there in many of our precincts are supporting our candidacy. So, go out there and ask yourself a road deputy. Find your road deputy out there somewhere on the streets of Brevard. Hey, who are they supporting for sheriff? And they're going to tell you, for the most part, they're going to tell you Todd Maddox. And, and quite honestly, I'm much more proud of that endorsement. I'm much more proud of the fact that there are sergeants and lieutenants and my peers and those that have worked with me day in and day out for the last 22 years, they're now supporting my candidacy. Quite honestly, our command staff are dependent on who the sheriff of this office is. Like I've talked about before, anything above the rank of lieutenant is purely a promotion at the whim of the sheriff. The commander I used to work for, Commander Drinkwater, now our chief deputy, many times sat and told me, hey, Todd, if you ever want to make it above the rank of lieutenant, the only way you get above a lieutenant in this agency is you pick yourself a candidate. That's what I did. We got behind one man, Sheriff Parker. We got him elected. That's how you get to the next step. That's how you become a command staff member. You got to get your man elected to the office, or you don't go any higher than lieutenant. So, you know what? I took his advice. I took the chief's advice, and we decided a bunch of us decided to get together, get behind a candidate, and that candidate happens to be Todd Maddox. And I'm very proud of those endorsements and that support that I'm getting from those. As to the game over task force, it was developed by Wayne and I believe Commander Doug Waller. And it's done a great job. I'll be the first one to say it's done a good job. But you also got to take a look at the numbers, because a lot of those numbers on that game over task force, we simply have taken arrests that I did when I was a homicide agent or when I was a patrol officer or when I was other capacities. We funnel all those arrests through game overs now. So the numbers are somewhat skewed on what they really are, because what arrests were being done by the TAC team or other divisions like homicide or the drug unit is now being made by game overs. So some of those numbers are somewhat inflated, but the idea itself is a great idea. I just think that there's some better things we can do in the way we implement it.
All right, let me give you another question for Wayne Ivey.
Okay. We talked about this earlier, the double dipping issue, currently with the 3 command staff members there. And I'm not getting to whether the sheriff's a double dipping position or not, because, that's neither here nor there. My position is not the money that's made through the double dipping. It's what it does to the promotions. That road deputy, like I talked about before, can't make corporal. Corporal can't make sergeant. Sergeant can't make lieutenant, all the way up the chain. My concern, and the concerns of many of those at the lower level, are we going to continue that practice? And I've heard Wayne and many of our previous debates say that, hey, you've got a great command staff. We're going to keep it just the way it is. We're going to keep those people in place. So my position is, if we're going to continue to keep those people in place that are double dipping, and you yourself going to be double dipping, what are you going to do when the next commander that retires? Because we got a lot of them coming up for retirement. Or we can continue down that road and continue that practice so that those people down at the bottom can't continue to move up, so that their promotions and their progress is stifled in this agency.
Wayne Ivey.
First and foremost, I've spoken from the very beginning that I don't support that aspect of allowing someone to retire from a current position and bring them back in at that same position. I've been very clear on that. My goal is to not only never stagnate a member of our agency's career, but to do everything I can to facilitate furthering that career, making sure that we're getting them the proper training, making sure that we're getting them the proper on-the-job experience to be ready to move up. I would very much love, after my terms as sheriff, to be able to have a member of our agency that I am comfortable in endorsing as the next sheriff, not to have to look for a member that's been engaged in the community, been an active part of not only working with other law enforcement agencies, but working to develop nationwide programs. So when I look at the aspect of would I continue that practice? Absolutely not. It is not a practice that I've ever supported, nor is it one that I would ever be a part of. And I want to point out that earlier Todd said that he was told by a certain commander to get behind a candidate. Todd, earlier today you said that you held a meet and greet for Sheriff Parker at your home. Sheriff Parker still looked at what were the qualifications needed for the next sheriff of Brevard County and blessed me with his endorsement. So I look at the aspect of I want to do everything possible to never stagnate a career, to do everything possible to make sure that we're giving our people every promotional opportunity there is.
Time for one final question, Wayne. You for Todd Maddox.
My question would be this, Todd. In a couple different forums, you've talked about the things that you would do. One of those things is, and it's actually come across in different mechanisms, but in one of your videos, you say to our corrections members, you're talking to them, and you specifically say to them, I will never take that $1 million from you. The county commissioners will have to make me. In fact, you even look at the camera and say, I'm looking at the camera right now. I won't take that $1 million from you. The county commissioners will have to make me. But yet then you turn around and say you're going to cut the budget. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I sure can. I don't. There are other ways to cut that budget. We've talked about trimming some of the command staff before. There are some other areas where I believe, in talking to many of those correction deputies up at the jail, that we can have some cost savings there. I talked about in one of the forums where we spend $60,000 a month in a water bill up there. The inmates are allowed to run the water all day long if they choose, and flush the toilet 50 times a minute if they can do it. There are things that we can put in place to eliminate some of that stuff. One thing, I even brought up a possible well system to instead of having to pay the city of Cocoa all that money for our water bill up there. So there are a lot of innovative ideas, a lot of things that we can do by talking to the members of this agency to trim that budget. Those guys and corrections deputies up there, in my opinion, have one of the toughest jobs in this sheriff's office. If you go into that facility up there, good Lord, the smell alone sometime would be enough to make someone else, a weaker man, walk out of there. So those guys are phenomenal in what they do, and I believe they deserve every penny that they make up there. There's been some talk about, well, they got a built-in 4 hours of overtime. That's the subject that's come up because of the way they structure their 12-hour shifts. I've told them at the very least, I think they need to be paid straight time for that. If it came up and the county commission wanted to take away the overtime budget, then that's a bridge that we'll cross when we get there. But at this point, I'm going to find other ways to cut this budget, not by causing our men and women at the Brevard County jail up there to lose anything or any benefits that they currently have.
Guys, we are way over time here. I'm going to give you each 30 seconds to close it up because we didn't really have a great opportunity on air for that to happen. Todd, we'll start with you. 30 seconds to wrap it up for this audience.
Yeah, just like I tried to get in earlier. Guys, I've worked in this community for 22 years. When the hurricanes hit in 2004, I was the guy down there leading. And when we talk about leadership, I led a partnership of federal agencies and volunteers and sheriff's office for 3 weeks down there, 16 hours a day, helping those people recover down there. I can go on and on with the different services I provided this community over those 22 years, and that clearly is what separates me. I didn't just move here 8 or 10 years ago. My kids go to school here. They've grown up here. I coach in this community. I sit on boards in this community. I hold a true management job with the sheriff's office.
All right. As we said, that 30 seconds goes quick. Wayne Ivey, 30 seconds,
It really comes down to this. 31 years of experience in every aspect. I've been a corrections officer. I don't have to imagine what it's like. I've been a corrections officer. I know how hard they work. I know how deserving they are of the pay that they receive. I've been a patrol deputy. I've been an investigator. I've worked at the statewide perspective, having been a resident agent in charge, and it's down to experienced leadership. It's the ability to deliver your message and get the community behind you as we go to fight crime.
And the ability to deliver your message done right now because we're out of time. Thank you for joining us on WMMBAM.com. Gentlemen, your invitations for the next round are in your email inboxes, so let's get you back in here before this primary. Thank you both. I appreciate it. It was a great day today.
Great. Thanks, Bill.
We'll see you back here next time.